Welcome to issue 11 of Critical Encounters, a podcast about Marvel Champions, which is a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. Here we take a good look at the most critical piece of game, the sets we don't know half as well as we should like, and less than half of them half as well as they deserve. We'll discuss those poorly understood characters, unfairly labeled villains, and their various plans to shape the Free Peoples and benefit Middle-earth, as well as those so-called heroes intent on casting them back into the fiery chasm from which they came. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon, but I'm not really a fan of this podcast, so I'm leaving. Take it away, Steve.
Well, thanks, Brandon. You can call me, don't ask me what I'll do with a ring if I have no corporeal body, Sauron. And joining me tonight, all the way from the balcony of his very pointy tower, is, no, not Iron Man. It's Saruman of Zero Colors, Daniel. How's it going, Daniel?
Oh, good morning, sir. What a delightful day to record this. How are you?
I'm well. But we are not alone.
We are never alone.
Yeah, crawling up from Kirith Ungol is that eight-legged spouse of our favorite Addercop. It's Helob. James, how's it going?
I am doing well, thank you. We've had the advantage of being on the other side of the Atlantic that we've not had to get up at the crack of dawn to record, so it's a pleasant lunchtime here.
Always nice. Well, James did not come alone either. With him is someone who's reconsidering his rental lease agreement, our favorite air pollutant Smog, the not quite fully armored Simon. Simon, how you doing?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening if that's when people are listening. I'm doing good.
Good. Oh, we're glad to have you.
Nice sunny day. Thank you for having us.
Daniel, do you have something on your mind today?
I got two things on my mind. Two things on my mind this morning. One is, hey, James, Simon, it's great to be hanging out with you guys again.
Yeah, it feels like
Thanks for...
It's been a while.
Ages.
Now, when we last hung out, we recorded a little something called Lore of the Ring, which people can find on your show. So why don't you guys tell us what your show is?
Sure, so we are the Card Game Cooperative. We look at all three of the co-op LCGs, so Lord of the Rings, Arkham Horror, and Marvel Champions. You can find us around the various places you find podcasts. Just look for the Card Game Cooperative. And that was the four of us did a deep dive into Tolkien's lore and the background to the first quest in the core box. So check it out if you're a Lord of the Rings fan.
I'm excited that we might do another one.
I thought we are doing.
Yeah, well, it's so hard to arrange things, but we're getting there.
Eventually, one day, maybe by the time they have re-released all of the Lord of the Rings content, we will have done all of the quests for the Lord of the Rings content.
I think that's a reasonable deadline to shoot for. Yeah, all right.
Unless they start doing it really quickly, and then we might be screwed.
I have something else on my mind, though, Steve.
Oh, you do?
Well, I love it when we get like the 5-star reviews, and I like to read them out loud.
Yes,
because they fill me with, they fill my tank. Yeah. Well, Steve, we got a 0-star review.
What? No.
Yeah. From listener Don't Kidnap My Dwarf BFF. Yeah. Calls his review 0 stars, a broken arrow. Ugh. This show never talks about how cool it is to shoot a bow and arrow. I don't even understand. It's always telling us how awesome these so-called villains are. I want more tips on being a better archer and how to avoid that annoying rash you get from wearing your quiver too tightly across your back. Also, Legolas is better than Hawkeye. What are we supposed to do with that?
I don't know. It's true, though. I think Legolas is better than Hawkeye, but...
100%.
Yeah. Maybe that's not a 0 star. Maybe that's a little ring shape. Instead of a 0? Maybe it's a 1 ring.
Ring stars.
Yeah, ring stars.
You know what? Let's call it that, and now I feel a lot better moving forward.
Okay, good. Well, thanks, Don't Kidnap My Dwarf BFF, for the review. At least they're listening. So.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But we're gonna do some stuff today. I don't even. This morning. I keep saying tonight. We're gonna look at some cards, some of our favorite villains from the card game. James, I think you and Simon have some lore bits for us. Why don't you guys take it away?
Sure. So I'll go first. So our first villain that we're going to be talking about tonight is Balrog. As I'm sure you're all aware, Balrog was born on the Kree homeworld of Hala, but he moved to Middle Earth in the First Age because he was just so jealous of his better-known brother Yonrog, always going on about his achievements. Wanted to start out on his own. And like any good Marvel villain, Bal's gone by many different names over the years. When he was first introduced back in Dwarad Elf issue 3, the writers hadn't even bothered giving him a name. He was just the Nameless Fear. But as they tend to do that, they kind of looped back round, revisited him 6 years later, and at that point he was first introduced as Durin's Bane, appearing for the first time there with his trademark flaming sword and whip. And then he kind of disappears from the story for a couple of years, and when he does come back, he's going to reappear with yet another name. Because you see that while Bal thought that the darkness was his ally, it turned out he only adopted the dark, being in truth a creature of flame as well as shadow, and his attempt at building some kind of brand awareness under that Durin's Bane name was shattered by a lawsuit from DC Comics, so he wasn't allowed to use that anymore. He sort of toyed with kind of other idea, Durin's Nuisance, Durin's Pest, but it just didn't quite work. But that was why he decided to go back to using his own name. So by the time he appears in Saga issue number 5, he's just created as Balrog again. Like any good comic book villain, he has died on multiple occasions. So he was killed by Ecthelion in the city square of Gondolin, although that later gets retconned to imply that he actually made it most of the way out of the city. He's then kind of wrestling with Glorfindel, and they do a Reichenbach fall-style tumble off the cliff. Either way, though, by the time the Fellowship passed through Moria in the Third Age, he's back to full health and ready to once again fall off a bridge, this time fighting Gandalf on the bridge of Khazad-dûm. So yeah, that's kind of a bit about his history. As is always the way, the portrayals are very one-sided. They never really give you an insight into his inner motivations. We do know that he spends quite a lot of time trying to decide whether or not he has wings. But equally, he's an accomplished magic user. He really should have the mystic trait, so he can get an extra hand size. But yeah, I think ultimately he's just a peaceable character who wants to be left alone in the dark, and is just constantly provoked by these so-called heroes bursting into his house, starting fights and trying to nick all his stuff.
Dropping stuff down wells. Yeah, James, I'm going to be honest. I didn't know any of that. That was awesome.
It's very informative. Yeah, I liked it.
No, James, I have a question, though. He's his new superhero or supervillain name, I should say, is the Balrog. Is he the only one? He's just alone?
I mean, there have been others. Again, you know what it's like in the comics. The names get handed around. There's always another version, another person in that suit, another person with that name. So, I think by the Third Age, which is when kind of most of the action's happening, he's probably the only one left. It's it's never made clear, but he's certainly trying to put himself out there as the one.
That was fantastic. I learned so much just now. I never knew he was Jan Rog's brother, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, how could I not have seen that earlier? Wow. Thank you, James.
All right. Well, we have one more origin story we're going to look at, and Simon was going to tell us all about the Witch King, right?
I am. I'm going to tell you a slightly different tale here, so I would like you all to gather around, and I will begin. So
I'm here.
I'm here.
Shuffle, shuffle.
Chair scraping across floor. Sound here.
Once upon a time, there was a king of men. The king was probably good, or maybe not. Who knows? One day, a super handsome guy called Anatar turned up and offered the king a shiny, elven forged ring. He said that the ring would extend the king's lifespan and power, and also gave a promise that no man would be able to kill him. Being particularly fond of shiny things and strangers, the king of course accepted. Unfortunately, as with most fairy tale items, the ring was of course cursed, and Anatar was in fact the evil Lord Sauron. Through the power of the ring, the king eventually slipped into the shadow world and became a ring wraith or Nazgul. Luckily for our king, he was not the only man given one of these rings of power. Joined by 8 others, the king unionized the Nazgul fighting for better working conditions for all in Mordor. Through strike action and a long-term negotiation with WIIIICH, the Nazgul Union secured flexible working, a 3-day weekend, and a government-backed scheme to oppress budding female heroes. After Sauron's defeat by the Last Alliance, a power vacuum occurred. The king used his power and influence as Union steward, and self-titled himself the Witch King, founding the dictatorship of Angmar and ruling uninterrupted for 7 centuries. Now, although this isn't the end of the once great king's story, this is where we will end it for today.
Awesome.
I feel like that's a story as old as time.
It is a story as old as time.
Right?
Stranger turns up.
Yeah. And you start with these good ideas, you think you're helping people, and then all of a sudden you become a monster.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, he just like, working conditions in the Union.
Right.
I'm glad to hear about
Then
that.
suddenly he's a dictator of Angmar.
Yeah.
Right? Lording it over. I mean, abusing power.
Oh,
It happens to the best of us eventually.
Maybe he's just become a dictator so he can ensure that right-wing politicians don't come in and undermine the four-day working week that he's secured. It could be an example of benevolent paternalism in action.
Well, I've always heard the saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. So there you go. He just wants it done right.
Okay.
Yeah. And did you say that the ring was made by elves? The scourge of Middle-earth?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of always forget that the rings were originally forged by an elf, not by some quote-unquote evil guy. So, but.
I mean, I think he was technically a part of it, wasn't he? He was there.
Yeah, but, the elves are complicit in it, I guess, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was the one that was filling it with, as you say, quote-unquote, malice and evil.
Well, let's not talk about that part. Well, thanks, guys. Those are some great backstories for our 2 big villains. So we always look at some cards. Should we look at some cards?
Let's look at some cards.
All right. So we have 3 Balrog cards and 3 Witch King cards. So we're just going to take a look at them and maybe compare and see which one we think is better. Daniel, why don't you start us off with one of them?
I'm going to read Durin's Bane. No, I'm going to read The Balrog from The Road Darkens. Is that okay? All right. So he's got threat 50. Or what is that called? Engagement number?
Engagement.
Do we care about that? Engagement costs 50.
Yeah.
5 threat, 8 attack, 9 defense, 25 health. He's got the Balrog, Shadow, and Flame traits. He's indestructible, cannot be optionally engaged. The Balrog and Shadow cards dealt to the Balrog are immune to player card effects. While in the staging area, the Balrog is considered to be engaged with the first player, and only the first player can declare attackers against the Balrog. And it's got 50 victory points, guys.
Whoa, 50.
That's got to be most, right?
Yeah, I would think.
As the one person who still keeps score, that's pretty impressive.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that seems pretty bonkers. 9 defense?
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Huh.
Well,
okay.
And indestructible too, right? So
why even have defense?
Why bother about defense? All right. Well, that's not the only Balrog card we get. Let me tell you about Durin's Bane from the Shadow and Flame scenario. Now, this is kind of the opposite. It has a 1 engagement cost.
Yikes.
4 threat, 6 attack, 3 defense, 27 hit points. Balrog, Flame, and Shadow, not Shadow and Flame.
I was going to ask you guys about that.
At some point, they must have started saying, we should put this on alphabetical. Regenerate 3, indestructible. Players cannot play attachments on Durin's Bane. Durin's Bane cannot leave the staging area, is considered to be engaged with each player whose threat is 1 or greater, and attacks each of those players in turn during the combat phase. All right. I like that you can't throw a forest snare over Durin's Bane. That's nice. So, right?
That would be funny, though.
What's the difference between cannot play attachments and immune? I suppose it's not immune to player card effects. It's just can't have attachments. Yeah.
You can still use reduces attack cards and things like that. Events.
I think this card is part of the reason they errated Hammer, isn't it?
Oh, really? Explain that.
Because with Hammer, you could feint him every round, and then as long as you found some little goblin to kill, you could just get your feint back, and you could just feint him every round because you can't forest snare him, but he's not immune to player card effects, so just stop him attacking and nothing happens.
So now you got to go at him with Sam Gamgee, I guess.
Yeah, you can still do
Still
that.
waiting for
or the
frying pan
gaffer.
weapon
The gaffer.
attachment.
Or that's what I mean, Gaffer. The one, yeah.
Yeah, the gaffer. I like
the Hobbit feint. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of an old hobbit just like wagging his finger at during Spain. Like, oh no, you ain't.
But this one, he dropped his shield for some reason.
In the art.
No, like just like from 9 to 3 defense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so clearly he's made himself a little more vulnerable, and he's not 0 victory points. What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, you probably can't kill him though.
With this quest, when he dies, you win.
Sure, but I still think he should be worth 50 victory points. Anyway.
Well, there's one more, and I think James needs to read it for us since he told us all about Balrog.
Sure. So this is, again, Durin's Bane, this time from Escape from Khazad-dûm. I believe that's the constructible versus mode one, isn't it? He is 50 engagement cost, 4 threat, 8 attack, only 3 defense, and only 15 health. He's a Balrog. He is neither Shadow nor Flame. He is immune to player card effects. He cannot be optionally engaged. Forced after he attacks and destroys a character you control, raise your threat by 2, heal 2 damage from him. And 5 victory points. So more than the previous one, but still only a tenth of the original. Oh, not the original.
Yeah,
yeah.
Much weaker, right? Much weaker.
Yeah.
Well, I think because he no longer has Shadow or Flame.
Oh, right.
As traits. I mean, he's just a third of himself.
Yeah. If this is the one where is this, like you said, the customizable one? Is that what this one's from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if they let you use the Balrog, they reduce the if the players get to actually engage with it in a deck building scenario style, then they're gonna nerf him. I see how it goes. This is kind of his hero card, I feel like.
Yeah.
Balrog when you fight him, Balrog when you unlock him as a playable character.
Right.
A sense of meme.
Which of the three do we like the best? Which one do we think is the highest quality Balrog?
Durin's Bane, Balrog, Flame Shadow, all the way.
So no, I think it's the Balrog. You know, he's immune to player card effects. His shadow cards are immune to player card effects, and he's got 9 defense. He's there. He's not going away, and you can't do anything about it other than get punched in the face.
I got to side with James on this one. There's a reason he's worth 50 victory points.
Yeah, sorry, Simon. I'm going to go there too. They convinced me. They talked me into it. Peer pressure.
Balrog, the Balrog, is considered to be engaged with the first player, whereas Durin's Bane will attack anyone with threat higher than 1.
Oh, good.
But you do start that quest with 0 threat. So you just bring Galadriel.
So you get 1 round where he doesn't attack you.
Just bring Galadriel or Elrond's Council or some other kind of cheesy threat reduction and keep your threat in negative numbers all quest.
I guess that's not impossible.
In fact, on the most recent Monday Night Twitch episode, friend of the show Grant had his threat at 0 for most of the game. It's those cheeky hobbits, man. So this guy would be like, powerless against those hobbits.
Well, speaking of Grant is are you talking about Grant from Card Talk podcast?
I am.
Well, you know what they do in the Card Talk podcast is they give all their cards a ring rating. So I wanted to give the Balrog cards a ring rating.
Okay. How does that ring rating work, Steve?
Right. So for those that don't know, it's highly scientific yet very arbitrary, where we're going to give the cards a ring rating, a value between 1 and 10, 1 being the one card to rule them all, and 10 being the card we throw back into the fire chasm from whence it came. So I'll go first. I'm going to give the Balrog a ring rating of 2. I don't think it's the best card in the entire game because it only has 50 victory points. I think that could be higher. So, Daniel, what do you give it?
I'm also going to give this one a 2 because there's only one card that has the number 1 rating. Okay. And this isn't it.
James?
Yeah, so it would be nice if it had, some kind of comically high doomed value or attacked everybody. So let's say a 3, just because it'd be boring if we all say 2. There's a little bit of room for improvement, but it's pretty good.
Okay. And Simon, what do you think? Where are you going to rate this thing?
I'm gonna go with you guys. I'm gonna go with 2.
Well, how about the Shadow and Flame version? We'll start the other way around. Simon, for your Durin's Bane one.
I am gonna give him a 2 also. Like, you guys have convinced me they are equally as much of a pain in the butt. I'm gonna level peg them.
That seems fair. James.
No, I think I'm going to give this a 6. I think.
Whoa.
You can
Brutal.
You can feint him. You can feint voices him. You can get your threat down to 0. He's only got 3 defense. Get a couple of.
But he's got regenerate 3.
Yeah, but once
and indestructible.
Once you got your indestructible, go on then. I'll bump him up to a 5.
Daniel.
I'll give him a 3. Like, he's really good, slightly less good than the Balrog, but still overwhelming. An overwhelming villain.
Yeah, and I think I'll go with Simon though. I think a 2 seems fair because of that regenerate and the defense. So you can't ping him, and you gotta stay on him every round. And I think in multiplayer he's even better because he attacks everybody every phase. So, which is kind of
yeah.
cool.
Okay. I get the whole you can keep your threat down, but say you're in a 4-player game, what are the chances of all 4 players having decks, or 1 player with a really good threat reduction deck that can still manage to keep all 4 players at 0 threat?
I want to say those chances are 0, Simon, but now I want to build that fellowship.
You've got 3.
My God, that's got to be our thing. Let's try it, guys.
If you just let all your heroes die, your threat goes to 0. So
go for a 3-deck fellowship that's just focused on keeping your threat below 0, and then someone else brings a Saruman and Grima deck.
Perfect. All right, we have one last Balrog here to rate. Daniel, let's start with you.
He's just so different. Like, he's so far away from the other 2, and the point of his existence is different as well. I'm just going to give him a 5. I mean, if you see that in a normal game as like a creature, that's pretty bad. So I'll give him a 5.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think a 5. He's a good boss, but he's not like knocking my socks off.
Yeah.
James or Simon?
I mean, I'm dropping way down here. I'm going to like 7, maybe 8.
Ooh.
Okay.
Like, by the time we played this scenario, and by the time he showed up, it was like he didn't even hang around 1 round. He came out, he died.
Seems fair. James?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ironic that he doesn't have the shadow trait, because this one is a poor shadow of the other 2. 15 health,
nice.
15 health, 3 defense, no keywords. Yeah, if let's say late game, you're just going to one-shot this, so it really doesn't stand out above any boss enemy that you get at the end of a quest in the way that the Balrog should. So yeah, I think I'll give him a 7 as well.
In that scenario, it must force him to be engaged with you somehow, because you can't optionally engage him, and he has a 50 engagement cost. So
yeah,
I think it does. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's the quest card or like the unique location, but I think he sits there for a little bit. So you've got a quest pass 4 threat, and then he comes down and he hits you once, and then you kill him.
All right.
He hits you once, and then you kill him. Sounds like someone could use the indestructible keyword.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Witch King, Steve.
Yeah, Simon, you told us all about his backstory. Why don't you read one of his cards?
Okay, so we've got the Witch King from the Black Riders. He's got a 45 engagement cost, 5 threat, 6 attack, 5 defense, 9 health. The Witch King unique with the Nazgul trait. He is immune to player card effects. He gets a minus 30 engagement cost whilst the 1 ring is exhausted. So, of course, because this is part of the saga, you'll have some kind of Frodo with a ring attached to him. And characters with 1 willpower or less cannot defend attacks made by the Witch King.
Bye bye, Barragond.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nice. He seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's no slouch, that's for sure.
Yeah, the theme of like his engagement cost being pretty high, so you can kind of avoid him unless you use the ring, is really good. I like that. I think
Yeah.
that's great. So, also
Yeah.
immune to player card effects. That's quality. That's a quality villain.
Quality.
Yep.
No gaffering him.
No. All right. Well, we've got two more. Oh, you have more to say?
I was just going to say, you're probably coming at this with a Hobbit deck as well if you've just picked up this box and you're going for it. So that, like, 5 defense and 9 health is, like, reasonable.
Yeah, I don't see any group of hobbits even chipping away at that.
Yeah, that's 6 attack. If all you've got is the Black Riders, Sam ain't defending that 6 attack.
No.
Well, not more than once, anyway.
Yeah.
I do like that characters with the 1 or less can't defend, so you just end up taking. You can't chump block with a lot of things. Like tactics is going to have a hard time with it. It's more about your willpower to stand up to him than it is straight up muscle. Another theme hit.
Yeah. How do you get a Celebrian stone on Barragond?
You just
Are you
put it on
allowed
him,
to?
right? I think so.
You're allowed to, right?
Yeah.
Just to hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, he gets the willpower boost. He just doesn't get the spirit resource icon.
Right. There you go.
All right. Well, there's 2 more of these. Daniel, your turn.
Sure. I will read the Nazgul Sorcerer traded version of the Witch King. 50 engagement cost, 6 threat, 6 attack, 6 defense, 14 health. Only the engaged player can declare attackers against the Witch King, and forced at the beginning of the encounter phase, the Witch King engages the first player, then it makes an immediate attack. Oof.
Yeah, this is the one from Flame of the West.
That's pretty.
Yeah, are the stats 666 on purpose, you think?
I hope so.
Clearly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. And victory 6. So
Victory say, oh, geez.
yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
That's a lot of 6s.
Wow. Okay.
Uh-huh.
He's good.
Yeah, his power ramps up. I like that. So.
The fact that you can't control who engages him, and he's attacking twice per round. Both nice.
Yeah.
Shame.
And then they're the only people that can attack him as well.
Yeah.
So you need 2 things that are going to be able to defend against him, and then you need to get through 6 defense.
Well, so you can still sentinel defend him, just can't ranged attack.
Right.
Yeah.
But still.
That's a good home run too, right? Because he's like at this stage, the fear he's putting off is driving men away. So if you're engaged with him, you're sort of forced to have to be able to fight him. But if you're not brave enough to go after him. So.
Oof.
All right, so there's one more Witch King from the Massing at Osgiliath pack. It is a 40 engagement cost, 6 threat, 6 attack, 6 defense, 11 health. Unique, the Witch King, with the Nazgul and Captain trait. Players cannot play attachments on the Witch King. While the Witch King is in the staging area, each character gets -1 willpower. Forced after the Witch King attacks, he returns to the staging area unless the defending player raises his threat by 3. Okay, so this guy's also pretty beefy. This is when he's like leading the armies of Mordor at the Siege of Osgiliath and stuff.
Yeah, he's.
So he keeps going back to the staging area.
Yeah, he's much more focused on just kind of hanging out in the staging area and making life bad for you, right? Like if you want to engage him, he'll come and punch you. But he's not like the Black Riders one, who's there to hunt down the ring bearer. He's just there to make life difficult and stick around.
He's there to ensure that those 3-day weekends and and all of that stuff. That he's there as Union Steward, ensuring that those workers' rights are adhered to.
We ain't going no further till we've had a breather.
Yeah, that's so good. So I'm going to start by saying that it's the first Witch King we talked about that I like the best, even though he's very saga specific. He's the only one whose art is not a weird disembodied head thing.
Oh, right.
Like the floating crown, I just can't deal with that.
Okay.
I don't know
My
if
favourite
that's
art
petty
is
of
actually
me.
the Massing at Osgiliath one.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. There's something about that art. I really like it.
Oh, I like the body of the other ones better. It's just like the floating crown head thing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because they're incorporeal, but they still wear clothes.
Right, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, which is kind of true in all of it, anyways. So, yeah, I do like the Flame of the West art, though. It's like very reminiscent of the art you get on the playmat with Eowyn and stuff. So, right before he takes her out, is that what happens? Does he kill her? I think that's
so.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that must be what happens. Again, ensuring that the appearance of female heroes is oppressed.
Right.
All right, so let's ring these things.
Although, wait, in Simon's scenario, though, then Eowyn is basically recast as a strike buster.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I like that. Yeah. Sent in by, capitalist...
Theoden. Yeah.
Yeah, the capitalist King Theoden.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The story's changed a lot for me today.
Let's ring these. Simon, let's start with the Black Riders one. Go for it.
I'm going to give it a 2.
Was that a 2 or a poo?
A 2.
Okay. That's good. Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's that minus 30 engagement cost, because I think it's really easy to forget about that, use that ring for something, and then go,
oops.
Oh, no. And then, that's the point where if you're playing alone, you just go, maybe I didn't do that. And just reset everything and start that turn again.
All right, James.
Yeah, I think he's definitely my favourite of the three, as you say. That he's just so thematic in terms of what the Balrog's doing at that point in time. I just wish his stat line was 666. So yeah, on that basis, I'm just going to give him a 3. It loses a mark for theme there.
Okay, Daniel.
So here's the thing. I'm going to make it easy on you, Steve. I'm going to give them all the same rating because I feel like they're all three of them are equally perfectly designed for the quest that they're in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep. They do the right thing.
They do the right thing for that scenario that they're in. So I'm going to give them 3s across the board. And I would have said 2, but not one of them is indestructible.
All right.
So there you go.
Yeah. I think that seems fair. I was
actually, yeah.
James and Simon, you guys want to adjust yours for all 3 cards?
I think. I mean, I would. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, sure. I think that they're all kind of slightly lacking something. I think, as I say, the Black Riders one could be a 666. I think the Witch King, the Sorcerer Witch King, the fact that he's not immune to any kind of player card shenanigans. The Osgiliath one, like I get that he's nasty, but I think if you can build up enough of a board state, and that's a long quest, you can potentially just kind of quest past him. So yeah, I think they're all challenges, but they've all got something you can do about them. So yeah, 3s across the board seems fair.
Okay, so I'm going to give the Black Riders one a 3 for all the reasons you have said. The Flame of the West one a 3 as well, but I'm going to go with the Massing Osgiliath one, and purely out of nostalgia, remembering this pack, getting it on the table, and just getting wrecked with it because it came out so early, a 2, because I thought it was great at the time, so I'm giving it an extra point based on younger Steve enjoying it.
No, I
so
like
much.
that a lot. The nostalgia vote is great.
Yep. So give it a 2.
Was this quest, was the Massing Osgiliath, was that between the core set and the rest of the packs, or was it during the Mirkwood cycle?
It was somewhere during it. It was like the Fellowship event quest.
I thought it was around Chasm.
Right. I think it was
like the very first one to come out.
Right.
I think it was like somewhere after, like in the midst of that first cycle.
Yeah, and
so you've got like a limited
easy.
pool.
Oh, you had a very limited pool.
Yeah, and you start the quest, you put out like all the Snaggas, all the Wolf Riders, all the whatevers, and then this guy's coming out. You're like, oh, the Witch King, it's so cool. Oh, yeah. I really liked it. All right, well, that was fun. But we aren't done, right? We have one more little segment.
We are not done.
We're not done.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, Simon, this was your idea. Do you want to tell us what we're going to do next?
Sure. So each of us has prepared a scenario, and we're going to ask each other these scenarios. And it's a would you rather the Balrog or the Witch King. So, someone will ask a ridiculous question, and your option is the Balrog or the Witch King. And do you want me to just ask you guys my question first, and then we can take it from there?
All right. I just hope you're not stealing mine. That's all.
Or Mike's from the other night. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know what they are, so
yeah,
I'm sorry
this is great.
if they're the same.
I had my oldest daughter help me come up with this, so it would kind of help me keep it clean. So there you go.
Fair enough. So mine is, so you walk into Starbucks, you're going in to get yourself a nice refreshing beverage. There are 2 checkouts, or 2 baristas there. One of them is the Witch King. One of them is the Balrog. Which one are you going to get your coffee?
The Balrog.
Yeah, I like hot coffee, not iced coffee.
I feel like he would make sure that it was hot.
Yep.
But would it be too hot?
Well,
do you want your coffee burnt?
I see what you're saying. But can you still sue someone for $30 million?
If it's too hot,
if it's too hot at the McDonald's?
Probably not. I'm assuming that there'd be a little placard in front of him just saying, coffee will be exceptionally hot.
Well,
please take appropriate care.
No, I think that's good because then you could sip that cup. Because I also imagine it would be in a 30-ouncer, right? He would make a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
I don't see him wielding the tiny little espresso machine. So you could sip that cup for the whole day, and it would be hot from the beginning to the end.
Or just take it home and use it to heat.
So what happens? Yeah. Now we're going to take this on a bit of a curveball.
Uh-oh.
Because it's actually a particularly hot day that you've gone in, and you're thinking about a frappuccino. Are you still going to the Balrog? Because obviously he's making the coffee before it goes in the frap.
Now, do they make iced tea at Starbucks? Because then I would go for a nice, tall, cold iced tea from the chilling hand of the Witch King. But I have heard that the Starbucks Shadow and Flame coffee blend is pretty good. So,
oh my god, I hope they make that now. I hope someone hears this. No, I cannot stomach cold coffee things. So I'm still staying with the Balrog.
James, did you tell us your answer?
As someone who doesn't drink coffee, I'm just.
It could be hot chocolate.
I'm just wondering who would make the best hot chocolate, and a hot chocolate that's too hot definitely is a problem. Whereas if it's made right, even if it's starting to cool down, I think that's okay. So yeah, I'm going to go Witch King.
I would ask the Witch King to make my mocha because I feel like he's maybe more finesse. Putting all those parts together. Yeah.
I mean, the Balrog's going to be big, maybe a bit clumsy.
Yeah, but if it's 7 a.m. and I need that jump, it's going to be the Balrog's cup.
Say it was almost 8 and you were supposed to record a podcast.
Something has to get you up. All right, so let me give you my scenario.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was great. Let's hear another one.
All right, so, and again, this is courtesy of Elsa. Of the two, which would you rather have be the entertainment at your 5-year-old's birthday party?
Well, okay, so the Balrog could light your candles for you on the cake.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sure.
He has more of a circus theme with the whip and the sword, so maybe he's got some sort of show thing he could be doing. I don't know.
I bet the Balrog can juggle.
Oh yeah, sure. Orcs.
Yeah.
Dwarves. Yeah.
I've just now. Have any of you seen a BBC comedy called Psychoville?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of hard to describe, but look it up, watch it. There's a clown in that called Mr. Jolly, and he turns
I'm already horrified.
He turns up to kids' birthday parties that he's been hired for, but he drives an old, it looks like a hearse. I can't remember if it actually is a hearse, but it's and he's so grumpy and he's not nasty to children, but it's just you hire this clown, he turns up, and you're just oh, what have I done? And that's what I feel like the Witch King turning up would be like. You'd be oh, we've hired you a witch and a king for your birthday, and then this thing turns up, and it's just like,
Yeah, I'm getting definite sort of Joaquin Phoenix in Joker vibes from the Witch King as the party entertainment.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone wants a good magician at their kid's birthday party, right?
And he could fly into the party on a fell beast, which could be entertaining.
Oh,
there's-
that would
And
be,
then the kids can pet it and take rides on it right around the yard. So,
oh my God, that you sold me, Steve.
yeah. Do I also get to ride and pet the fell beast?
sure, you hired it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it then. Because I might end up having to take someone to A&E with serious burns if I've got the Balrog there. Whereas, what could go wrong riding a fell beast?
And it wouldn't be like the Balrog meant it, but we'd already talked about he's kind of clumsy, probably.
Yeah, exactly. He just, he's clumping around.
You just can't help it with those wings.
Yeah,
that
the
aren't wings.
hospital-
Yeah.
Hospital near where Simon and I live has got a nice helipad just outside, so I'm sure you could land a fell beast on one of those if you did need to take anyone for emergency treatment.
I mean, there's,
Alright.
yeah.
All right, James, do you have a scenario?
I had two, and they were suspiciously similar to Simon's, suspiciously similar to Daniel's. So I'm just going to go for a fairly simple one. Yeah, going out for a meal in town. You've left the car because you want to have a drink. Your Uber driver turns up to bring you home. Who do you want it to be?
Ooh.
Well, I think going from like the last answer to Uber like on a fell beast home would be pretty cool. However, you might fall off.
Yeah, if it's late enough at night after the pub. Is it winter or summer? Because that might
Oh, that's a
my
good question.
opinion too, right? Because it's already hot out. I don't know if I want the Balrog in there.
Well, you
with
guys
me.
don't have seasons in England, do you?
We do. We have long wet days and we have short wet days.
Right. Okay.
It's suspiciously similar to here, where I live. Lots of rain all the time.
We also do get days like today where there is just blazing sunshine, which is just to throw us off and to make us think, oh, wow, it exists. And then it goes away for another 2 to 3 months for us to then just go, we know it exists, we just don't ever get it.
I hear that's sort of like Marvel distribution packs for you guys over there too.
We're finally getting the hood this week.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The War Machine releasing.
War Machine.
No one cares about him.
Hey, he's a fun deck.
Yeah. But we don't care about it on this show. So I'm going to go with the Witch King because of the Fell Beast Uber option.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm going to go with the Balrog. And
Nice.
it's because I reckon, you get on with the Witch King and you're like maybe 2-3 minutes away from him dropping you off, and he's just there, and he's been a bit chatty the whole way, and he just like, and then he gets her and he's like, so yeah, you can always leave me a tip through the app if you like, and then it'll just silence, and it's just like crickets for the last 3 minutes as you're just there thinking, I'm not leaving you a tip. You've just spoken to me the whole way. That's not what I pay for.
Right, and you've just been like mumbling back at him anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's true. I guess he would be a better conversationalist, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Whereas I get the impression the Balrog's going to be very no nonsense. You're going to get there. He's going to angrily bellow your name at you. You're going to say yes. You're going to get into whatever contraption he's driving you in, whilst he drives silently and angrily.
You can't just say yes to get in the car. You have to speak friend and enter his vehicle. Does
anyone know the word for friend in the Black speech?
No. Do they even have one? All right, so I have a question for you guys. You, Balrog or Nazgul, you are going to be roommates with them in a 1-bedroom studio apartment during your senior year of grad school, and they are double majoring in art and poetry. So who do you take?
Hands down the Witch King.
Yep, Nazgul.
He's going to take up less room in the apartment. Yep. And I bet he's going to be I think he could weave some subtle words and magic with his art and poetry. Hands down. Be fun to look at.
And you just know the Balrog's going to be doing some kind of weird our fire-based performance art, and it's going to be annoying. Everything's going to smell of smoke, and I cannot sleep with a light on. So yeah, roommate make a fire work.
Good call.
Well for me.
Yeah.
But he's also made of shadow.
Oh, do you think his performance art would be like shadow puppet art too? That would annoy me after a while.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I was just thinking that come nighttime, he might be able to engulf James in shadow, so there's zero light getting in.
That's true.
That's good.
Disregarding size, I'm assuming that we've got a room that would be large enough for either of them. I would still go with the Witch King because I get the impression that he would be very tidy and organized.
Oh yeah.
He would also probably be if there was anything wrong with the dorm room or the dormitory in general, I feel like he would be very good at penning out letters and making sure that things were appropriately fixed and in the appropriate condition.
I mean, given everything you've told us about his experience as a union rep.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is pre-union rep. This is his college days, but he's preparing himself for
It's kind of what turned him into the union rep.
Yeah, he realized that he has a penchant for it.
Yeah, oh my god, this is his origin story in that regard.
He's not too goth or emo for you guys?
He's perfectly goth and emo.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's what you want in your poetry major.
No such thing as too goth or emo.
Oh, okay. While you were talking about him not taking up too much space, I realized too, he probably wouldn't eat any of the food in the fridge. He wouldn't like accidentally take your stuff.
Whereas the Balrog would.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like the problem with the Balrog is like, what are you going to do about it when he does eat your food?
Yeah. I also feel like maybe the Balrog would be like part of some obnoxious frat. So
definitely.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
And he'd probably have like a drum set.
Yeah.
Or some kind. There'd be some noisy thing he does. Whereas
drums in the deep. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Good questions. Good scenarios. All those are fun.
So I have 3 other ones. I'm going to ask each of you quick, just a fast answer, just one of you. So Daniel.
Okay. Yes.
You're gonna join a fantasy sumo LARP group with this character.
Sumo LARP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantasy sumo LARP.
All right. The Balrog.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I want to be beaten quickly.
James, you are gonna sing the duet of "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" from The Lion King.
Oh.
Witch King.
Okay.
But,
I think he has a better voice.
A screechy voice, yeah.
Simon, this guy is going to be your best man who throws you a bachelor party the night before your wedding.
Balrog.
I think that was.
There is such a thing as too goth or emo when you've got a bachelor party.
That's right.
Okay. Great. Oh, that was fun.
I'm expecting lots of flaming sambucas at this party.
Ooh, that would be good. I haven't had sambuca in years.
Every drink will be on fire, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on the show. Have we got anything more to say about these guys? I don't think so.
They're great fun.
Yeah. You get a scenario with them turn up, you know you're playing Lord of the Rings.
That's right. Yeah. They make everything better.
Instantly recognizable classic characters that even the bad one, like the cards that aren't very good, when they turn up, they're still fun.
Yeah. Well, Simon, how do good people find us in the various places in the world?
By delving too deeply?
They can delve too deeply. Do you have a scenario you think these two would be perfect for? We want to know. You can email us at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com or tcgcoop@gmail.com. We are Critical Encounters and The Card Game Cooperative on Facebook. You can find the Critical Encounters YouTube channel by searching for Critical Encounters Podcast. And on Discord, you can find us. We are Vardane, Big Fromloaf, Mighty Jim, and Simon. If you like our show, tell your friends. If you don't like our show, tell your enemies. Gollum, take us out.
One rings to rules them all, precious. One rings to finds them. One rings to brings them all, and in the darkness blinds them. In the lands of Mordor where the shadows is lie. Leave now, and never come back!
The following outtake is rated R. You must be at least 17 years old or accompanied by a parent or guardian, age 21 or older, to listen to the R-rated content that follows. Fair warning, we devolve very quickly into inappropriate content not suitable for young children.
Do you guys want to hear what Mike's suggestion was?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
We may have to cut this out. A threesome.
I mean, you don't get a choice then. It's just both of them. Or do you mean?
Oh my God,
me, my
Simon! I love
spouse?
how you just took that.
Or do you mean me, my spouse, and one of them?
Yeah. I think
that
that's
was
what
the
Mike meant. I think that's what Mike meant.
So Simon's version is like threesome, yes or no? Oh God, that was funny.
That's good.
If I had to choose between one of them, I don't.
You know-
The Witch King.
Okay.
I do not want to be stabbed by a Morgul blade.
Because you know that's what he calls it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should cut that, Steve.
I might tag that at the end and give
It's a family show.
some fair warning that it's going to devolve here.